written communication is better when you're co-parenting, and I think that the earlier you are in the process, the more true that statement is.
Well, not just any written communication.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I
not
suppose
just you're a jerk, like
you're a monkey's butt is not a
not really effective.
Not yeah. One of the things to keep in mind when we're communicating in writing is that courts and wise ones will scrutinize your communication. So it's important that you get some education on what to say.
Yeah, we always say that text messages end up as Exhibit 1, right, or Exhibit A.
Well, it depends, on whether the petitioner or the respondent, yes.
Yeah. One's letters, one numbers. If you don't work in it, you probably don't know that joke. But yeah, so in California, petitioners are numbers and respondents are letters, and so it's either Exhibit 1 or Exhibit A, depending on which of those you are. But the text messages are frequently things that get people in trouble because it's so easy to just...
Yeah, it's easy to fire off, especially a text message, and it's always best to pause. Don't send it right away. Think about it and think, what would it look like if a court was going to scrutinize this particular communication?
Yes, count to 10 or something.
I would say wait till tomorrow.
10's not near long enough. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, you can get into a lot of trouble with this, and you think that you've got the perfect zinger, and
you so want to send it.
You so want to send it, but here's what the courts could conclude about your zinger. They could conclude that for you, it's not about the child. It's about your co-parent. It's about the other parent. Really, one of the things that the court's looking for is, can you overcome your resentment? Can you overcome your ill feelings towards the other parent?
Yeah, they want you to just be an adult.
They want you to cooperate and be an adult. And frankly, when we're divorcing, none of us are really able to be an adult.
No, if we could be an adult, we probably wouldn't be getting a divorce.
That's
right?
true. That's right. If we could,
we probably could have solved the problem. It's
hard to avoid feeling resentful, but you don't want to act on that resentment because, again, one of the things you're being judged on is, can you let go of your resentment?
Right.
Oddly enough.
Right. On your behavior and your interaction. The court sees the conflict and sees all those things. They think, it doesn't look good. They think this is out of control. These people are crazy. Whatever it is. And here's what I have. A lot of people kind of have this mentality of, well, that's what they're doing. That's what the other person's doing. They're sending all these nasty text messages. And here's the key to that. You have to get in your head that helps you. If they're being nasty and you're not responding in kind, that makes you look like the reasonable adult to the court, which is what the court's looking for. And if you're both doing that, then they just feel like you're both a problem, or you're both crazy, or you're both being childish, or whatever it is. And I think a lot of times we don't realize we're so kind of enveloped in our own feelings and our own anger, and this is, such a difficult process, and it's so all-consuming that a lot of times we just don't think about what the kids are hearing or observing, or, we think they're too young to know what's going on, or, things like that. But they know that this impacts them. I mean, your children were very, very young, and true. You have one in particular that's very, very sensitive. And
which one is that?
And he always knew when something was up,
Yeah. It's kind of like the court wants you to communicate. But communication makes you mad,
right,
and leads to conflict. You go to court and you get these lectures from the court. Can't you just be an adult? Can't you? You need to have contact with you. You have to work this out.
Yeah,
I'm not. Because the court can't solve certain problems that are occurring interpersonally.
Right.
They can't resolve the haircuts or the being late or that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, you go out in the hallway and
Figure it out.
Figure this out and come back to me when you have a solution.
Yeah.
So this is why it's helpful to have writing, but not just any writing. The writing has to be dispassionate. It has to be non-emotional, focused on simply the problem at hand, whatever it is.
You need to reflect on, number one, do I even need to communicate about this? I mean, I think that's your first question. And then number two, am I addressing it in a non-emotional, just the facts kind of way? One of the benefits of the written communication is that it doesn't convey all this emotion that your voice would convey, because you could say a completely normal statement like, can you pick up the kids at 5 o'clock? And if you're saying that verbally, you can still be nasty about it. You can say, well, can't you pick up the kids at 5 o'clock? And in written communication, you don't have that problem. You don't have to try to hold your tone or whatever.
That's why we have emojis, because the written word is kind of dry and sterile, which is how we want our communication to be.
Right. So that's the benefit, is you don't have to worry so much about, you don't have to like grit your teeth while you're saying it because you're typing it. But at the same time, you have to leave those pieces out that say that. So in other words, let's say you are communicating about a pickup time. You don't want to say something like, well, you're always late, so I know you're probably not going to show up till 5:15 anyway.
Yeah, probably not.
That's the kind of thing that causes the problem. So you don't want to communicate your feelings about the situation, how you're irritated that they don't show up or you're whatever. It's simply the fact of, will you be picking the children up at 5 or 5:15? So if you're going to use the communication to your advantage, the way to do that is to not respond in kind. And, people always say, well, the other person's doing it. Yeah. And that will work against them over time. Thomas always says custody is a marathon, not a sprint. You're not going to be able to go in 2 weeks with, 2 exchanges of them being nasty and you being kind and say, hey, I want more parenting time. It's not going to work that way. But over the long haul, especially if you have somebody that drags you back into court, the best thing to do is to not respond or to respond minimally. What has happened over time through the effort to show, kindness and be cooperative and all those things, that we've actually created those things in our relationship.
Yeah.
We've actually created that kind of situation. And I'll tell you something, nothing will remove stress from your life like a good relationship with your co-parent.
We'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands.